Well, we've been following the crime in D.C. now under the new series, City Under Siege. And if you take a look at this map, parts of U Street, 14th Street corridor, Shaw, Columbia Heights, Adams Morgan, all fall under the 3rd District. Last year, D.C. launched a special task force looking at tackling the U Street crime, considering it's a hotspot for residents and out-of-towners to come in and celebrate. Joining me now, 3rd District Commander James Boteler. Commander, I appreciate you joining us this morning. I appreciate your time. We had a lot to talk about in a short amount of time, but I'm curious, first of all, just from that aspect with the new attention put on nightlife along the U Street corridor and in the 3rd District, how do you think things have worked so far?
Good morning, Steve. Thank you for having me this morning. The nightlife task force that was stood up by the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety, earlier in 2022, has made a dramatic impact in our club zone or our nightlife areas. We were seeing robberies occurring along the U Street corridor, with our residents and our visitors that we're seeing, coming in and visiting our city for the rich culture and nightlife. With the stand-up of the nightlife task force, we've seen a reduction in that type of crime, specifically not just because of MPD presence, but really the collaborative efforts of our other DC government partners, everyone from Department of Public Works to Youth and Family Engagement Bureau to Department of Transportation. We've been utilizing all these resources really to make people feel safer in the area.
I know that one of the challenges for policing in any district, any city, anywhere in the country, staffing is always a big issue. You can't be everywhere all of the time. You mentioned some of the successes that you've had. What else do you need? What would help to further push to eliminate more crime?
Well, Steve, I mean, honestly, more officers equates more ability to cover more area at any given time. But really, right now, partnering with our other government agencies to kind of fill that footprint, using their different modalities to help supplement our MPD enforcement activities has really been helpful. And I think continuing that we'll see efforts continue to rise. Also, partnering with the public, something as simple as utilizing non-traditional partnerships like our clergy. We had clergy out on the U Street corridor last weekend, walking up and down U Street until about 1 o'clock in the morning, engaging with young people. That seems to have a calming effect sometimes on rowdiness. I would say, partnering with these other agencies, other nonprofit groups, until we can get some more cops on the street, we're utilizing every tactic and effort that we can find out there.
I'm curious from your perspective, and I know you've been doing this for a very long time. When you're in a district like 3D right now that has so much nightlife, you have such high-profile, restaurants and establishments and things like that. You can eradicate crime to a certain extent, but you also have that risk if you have one high-profile crime that hits a very popular location. It gets a lot more attention maybe than in some other area or some other crime that might happen. How do you counter that? Because you run that risk of having perhaps an even larger target on you as far as policing.
Well, Steve, I think the easiest answer is collaboration and trust, building trust with the community. We are very vocal and very transparent here in the 3rd District with our citizens, our residents, and our business owners. We engage them every single day, whether it be through our outreach teams, our patrol officers, my management team, and really just making sure people are aware of their surroundings, understanding what they can do to better combat crime, like better lighting, better security features. At the end of the day, a serious crime anywhere in this city is a travesty. But you're right. We have a lot of nightlife, a lot of folks traversing our nighttime nightlife areas. It can be concerning when you see, as you describe, a high-profile crime such as a robbery or carjacking occur when people are really out just to have a good time.
Sure. And listen, we're not just talking about nightlife here, too, because you have a lot of people who live in 3D, obviously, that they want to be protected day and night. I do want to ask about carjackings, and I'll frame this by saying, while carjackings are up in every district of the city, in 3D, carjackings are up 60% from this point last year, based on the police department stats. But that's the lowest percentage of all the districts across D.C. So in a way, you're doing better than other districts, but you're still up 60%. What is it? A lot of people are trying to figure it out because the average person who's been arrested is like 15 years old. Is it people just using cars as Ubers? Is it using them as they need the vehicles and they're selling them? What is happening? And the big question is, how do you cut down on it?
So, Steve, I would say we still have a lot of work to do in this space. Our agency does a great job on the investigative front when these crimes occur, being able to track folks down through the use of crime camera footage and private security footage provided to us by the public. But to answer your question, it's a juvenile problem. We're having juvenile offenders committing a large majority of these carjackings and armed robberies throughout our city. And part of it comes back to what you heard Chief Conti prior and now Chief Smith talk about, and it really is accountability on the part of juvenile offenders. We cannot and we should not be allowing juvenile offenders committing adult-like violent crime to be released back in the community time and time again to only reoffend. So I would say that right there is probably one of the driving factors with it. I think a lot of it too is some of these young kids that are out here committing this crime think it's fun because, again, they don't feel that the accountability piece is going to catch up to them. And in these circumstances, it's dangerous. We've got young folks carrying illegal guns that they shouldn't have in the first place, committing violent crime throughout our city. And that's something that, we're very, very, keened in on right now.
And that accountability comes back to some of the partnerships that you were talking about earlier, making sure everybody's on the same page and working together. I look forward to keeping in touch. 3rd District Commander James Boteler joining us this morning. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, and there's more information. Obviously, if you see anything and you need to report any crimes, there are your options. Hopefully you don't have to, but if you do, we know it is in fact a thing, but hopefully more and more efforts continue to be made to try to reduce the problem in the district.
Yeah, hopefully so. Good conversation there. All right, 7:36.